Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff, and this is not Anime Ricochet. This is not the show where two dudes who know nothing about sports talk about sports anime. No, this is our 4-episode test of Bluelock, and with me, as always, is Jacoby, aka Kobe.
It's
How'd you
just
like
such
that
a.
intro?
I did like it a lot because this is actually such a fun blast from the past. Like actually watching these episodes made me like, man, there was a time where we watched sports anime like a lot. So it was kind of like
Yeah.
we got back into it. Like I was analyzing, comparing it to like what we did before. It was a lot of fun. So I'm glad we picked this one.
Yeah,
And
it
this
was.
one seems pretty relevant.
It is relevant, very relevant. World Cup is happening and all that. And yeah, I'm like you. Like when I started watching this show, I just felt comfy. You know, I was like, yes, this is like our thing. You know, this is our forte. We know sports anime. Anime.
We don't know sports, but we know sports anime.
Exactly. So anyways, yeah, this is our 4-episode test review. Although technically for this one we saw 5 episodes. But anyways, we're gonna tell you guys if it's worth watching after 4 episodes. And after that, we're going to go into spoilers. So, yeah, I guess right off the bat, Kobe, did this past 4-episode test you?
I am going to say yes. I think it did. I think there's something really interesting here about this anime in terms of what it's saying for being a team versus being an individual, about what it's working towards. I like the setup that it's not really like it's taking the traditional confines of like what a sports anime is with like, you know, the team and the training and probably tournament arcs, but framing it in an interesting way of just in a way that we haven't really seen hit upon in a lot of sports animes. The fact like these are just high schoolers, like, right? Like this shouldn't be the most important sport of their life, but a lot of sports anime make those seem out that way. But like this one is just like, yes, this is actually important because it's going to be in the future. Like this is for building for your future to be on Japan's team, and I think that's a really interesting setup. I like the elimination vibe to it. That kind of plays out throughout these first 4 episodes, technically 5 episodes, and overall, I think some interesting characters. So overall, yes, this does pass it for me. What about you? Passing it back to you. I'll pass it.
Whoa!
I'll kick it. Yeah.
Whoa! You're not a true striker though. If you pass it.
I guess so.
Yeah, it passes the 4-episode test for me, and I would say it passes the 1-episode test actually, because if we weren't doing this little show, I only usually give anime 1 episode. But yeah, it passes the 1-episode test. Has a very strong intro. It's a very simple premise with very high stakes. And the premise is basically high schoolers that play soccer were chosen by some random crazy guy, and they're like trapped in like this weird prison complex, and like whoever they play a bunch of soccer related games or soccer games, and whoever comes out on top gets to play for like the World Cup on Japan's team. Essentially, that's like the premise. And yeah, and so it's I kind of think it's like the anti-sports anime in a way, because you know a lot of sports anime are kind of the same themes of like teamwork and like doing everything for the team, developing together. But this one kind of focuses more on like the individual, and like the crazy guys. His name's Ego Jinpachi. He's like the mastermind behind this whole Bluelock program. That's the name of like the prison complex they're staying inside. He wants to really hit home that like to be the best striker, it's all about having the brightest, biggest ego, and so that's what he's trying to refine in all these players. So it's not really so much about the team, it's about like being an individual, but at the same time there is still the team stuff in there. So it's kind of like an interesting tension. It's like a push and pull of like, oh, you know, you gotta look out for yourself, but like looking out for yourself also means working for the team. At least that's how it is so far in these first 5 episodes. So yeah, it's a very, very interesting take on the sports anime genre, I would say.
Yeah, and it's really cool because I'm just obviously compared to a lot of what we saw before, there's usually you paint the idea of being an individual as the bad thing, right? Like that's not kind of what you strive for in any sport, because as you said, the team. But I think this anime hit on something that was pretty interesting when he was saying like Japan doesn't do well in a lot of team sports because the Japanese people are inherently focused on their own roles. Like in the sports that they do excel in, like baseball, it's like everyone has a clearly defined role that they operate in their own and don't have to rely so much on each other. And that's, I think, a very interesting concept, especially as we develop something in soccer that, as you said, has that it's both highlighting individualism, but also you also have to work as a team. So, and like, I'm very curious to see how that plays out as the anime goes on, about like, what is the ultimate goal of this anime? Is it saying that no, you don't have to be an individual and you have to work as a team, which we saw in these 4 episodes, or do you have to say no to the team and be an individual, which we also saw in these 4 episodes? So it's like, it's making the case why both of them are valid, ways to form a team and how to play soccer. And I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's like it's a weird, it's like a game within a game, because there's soccer, that's like the main game, but then there's like also you see in the first episode, Ego sets up like this tag game, which isn't like an actual soccer game, but he uses that to determine who gets kicked out. Yeah. And so I imagine there's gonna be a lot more of these throughout the show, and I'm really interested to see how these games evolve. Yeah, so far what we've had is really interesting. Yeah.
Did you get Squid Game vibes? I got Squid Game vibes. Like, I totally brought in. They have to actively, because the beauty of Squid Games was that all the people who were there chose to be there. Like, there was that moment where everyone leaves, but they actually come back because they realize that, yeah, our life sucks, I want this money. And everyone there also did choose to be there. It's not like they're trapped there and against their will. They all made that choice to cross the threshold and be like, I am deciding that I need to be better than all 207, or there's 300 people, right? All 300 of these people, at the risk of losing my own career. So like, the fact that they made the choice is, I think, just makes this kind of fascinating, right? Like, because then you can't really feel sorry for them when they lose, but you're also just like, man, it stinks when they're done, because there's real stakes to this, about the fact it's not like they just go home. They have no soccer career forever after this. So like, a lot's riding on that. So I really am fascinating to see how it unfolds, because the thing about what I think is interesting about this, like, I think it has the capacity to maybe stay stagnant with this group of 11 that we have now, like, as like the main characters, but and as they move through the rest of the the teams and everything. But I do really hope we have to, because we're eventually going to have to get to the stage of they have to eliminate each other, right? Like, that's going to be, they're going to be gone, and I really hope we get there and it doesn't skimp out on that.
Yeah, and Ego highlights in the beginning too that, like, your teams can change like at any time, essentially, based on like your ranking. So like there's this whole like ranking system too, and there's even like this hierarchical thing where, like, there's like 5 subgroups or 5 buildings, and each building has like X amount of players that are like good, and the ones that are like the better players, they have like better accommodations, like better food. So there's that interesting aspect to it. It's cool. It's like a game show. It's like a reality show or something like that, but with soccer. Anyways, on top of that, I would say the animation is actually pretty good. It does use CGI, but not in a bad way. I think it actually uses it very appropriately, and I've been seeing this a lot more recently too. Is like, I think the CGI is just getting better overall, or at least people who make anime, I think they kind of know when to use it, when not to use it. And I really appreciate that. There's some really cool, like, some of the characters have like a monster within them or something like that. And like their eyes,
pictures, right?
Yeah, exactly. Their eyes flare blue, and like there's like really cool special effects around that, and that really increases the hypeness of the moment. There's like you said, a lot of colorful characters, and we've already met a lot of them. They're pretty good.
Who do you like the best out of the?
I'm all about Bachira.
Bachira. He's the most fascinating one, right? Like, he's the one who seems, at least he's the one who causes a lot of, not drama, but like he makes things interesting, because he's clearly, you don't really know what he's thinking, right? Like, he's just like he's kind of there to have fun. He doesn't mind passing it off. He doesn't mind doing other things. He recognized a kindred spirit in our Isagi. But he's also having a fun time, where it seems like if he does lose, then it doesn't seem like that's going to affect him that much. And I do think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, he's definitely the wild card. Who's your favorite character?
I guess I like the guy. They all have such defined roles, I guess. I like the guy who's kind of fallen into the role of goalie.
You like that guy?
Okay. I kind of like him.
Yeah.
Is he the one? Because there's two. Oh, I like the guy who's goalie. Because I just think he's like the guy's like I think as time goes on he's just like I think I'm just going to be goalie every time now. So I feel like that's just like what it's going to be, and I think it's going to be interesting. I like the guy who's really athletic. I think the guy with the wide eyes and like he's agile, like he can jump to certain places.
Monotone guy.
Yeah, but I don't like his dynamic with the little one, the one that like steals his stuff like all the time.
Oh, really?
And, like they fight, like I don't like that. And the guy who's weaker, like the weak one on the team, like he irritates me. He's not someone who I enjoy his whole shtick. But everyone else I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, well, we'll get more into the characters once we get into spoilers and stuff. But let's see what else is there. Well, okay, I guess the only other thing I wanted to talk about before we get into spoilers is what do you think of the soundtrack, like the opening and what is it called, the OP and the ED or something like that? You know what I'm talking about, the opening and the ending songs.
Yeah, I like them. I think they're fun. I think they're enjoy. I haven't skipped them. And especially the fact that this episode does what when we reviewed the pedal Yowamushi pedal. The fact that the episodes had like little ending clips to them, like little fun clips, like that was fun. So I like the ending and I like those clips and I like the opening. What about you? Do you like the music?
I thought it was okay. It's not a play every time out of 10 for me. It's a skip out of 10. That's my binary thing. It's like, that usually doesn't mean that's like an opening or an ending is like terrible. It's just like, to me, it's just like, is it skippable? That's about it. And to me, it is. But it doesn't hurt the anime overall.
Nice.
Okay, so I do want to talk about like spoiler details. So we're entering into spoiler territory now. So yeah, if you think it's worth watching, which we think it's worth watching, then step out and check it out. But otherwise, stick around because what I want to talk about is that first episode.
Okay.
And I don't know. I just want to compliment it and rave about like how strong of an opening it is because it's very simple. It's very straightforward. It's able to basically contain, what the main character is all about, what his motivations are, what his failings are. It's able to introduce what this whole premise of the anime is. And then it introduces like this other character who is basically at the level that the main character wants to be. And then just like that guy, like I thought that guy was going to be like, oh, this is the guy, because he specifically joined. I think his name is Akira or something like that.
Yes.
He's like, I joined because I want to prove this guy wrong. It's all about teamwork. And then at the very end, boom, he loses that tag game, and it's the main character Isagi who deals the killing blow. And I have to admit, it was a bit gut wrenching. It was like, damn, it really set the tone for what the anime was about. It was like, yeah, this is what it is. It's like backstabby, betrayal-y. Every man for himself kind of thing.
Absolutely. No, that was pretty cool. Cause I thought it was going to be a bit of a different twist. I thought that guy was going to be revealed to be like awful. Like he was like, cause he seemed really nice, right? Like he was like, what's your name? Like, even though I just beat you in that other game, it's like, I think we can be friends. I'm glad I know somebody. And I thought he was like eventually going to be revealed to be like really bad. But like the fact that like our main character was the one who turned out to be the bad one in a sense of being the one who basically ruined that guy's soccer career forever, is a really fascinating story choice. And I agree. I think that first episode is super strong. There's a lot in that first episode too. Like I even took a picture. The moments when he walks into the room, I can't even see. Oh, you can kind of see it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh
wow. That's pretty freaky. The moment he walks into the room and like he sees all like the weird characters and like you see like those two guys, I'm like, I'm sold. Like this is different. But but a really strong first episode.
Yeah, and then I love how it introduces, like, I guess this is why I call it the anti-sports anime, is because like this guy, I feel like this guy is kind of going down like an anti-hero arc or like a villainy arc, or at least that's what it seems like right now, right? It's like, because when he wins that first game, right, when they win that first game and he scores a winning goal, he's like walking amongst the other team, he's like, I just crushed the dreams of these 11 people. And he's like, it feels good, he doesn't feel bad about it. He's like, he's freaked out about how good he feels. And I think that's like, again, that's like another interesting aspect of this, is that we're kind of seeing this guy turn into an egoist, which I guess is the point of the Bluelock program, but like, it's more of like a evilish angle. Like, it's not like this is the shining hero. He's like turning into, the guy who looks out for just himself, just to win the game and to do things like that. So I think that's another cool part of the show.
And I wonder if we'll see that with a lot of the. I wonder if Isagi's character arc of being like a singleist and being like, let's crush these people, will also grow to the other 10 members of his team. Like Bachira obviously already feels that and he doesn't care, but there are some genuinely good people, it seems like, on the team, like right now, right? So like maybe and as they probably won't start eliminating each other immediately, right? Like, it's like, I imagine this has to go for a while before we ever get to that point, but they're going to have to start eliminating other people. So I wonder if even the nice ones will start to feel that like, yeah, let's do it, right? Like let's crush them no matter what. It's like we can be this egoist type of ideas, but like let's wait till we crush everybody else and then turn on each other type thing, sort of mindset, just to see how that's going to go is really cool.
Yeah, and on that note, I'm kind of waiting for the reverse character arc of what's that one? The guy who looks like a shark. You know, he's the jerk guy. Like, I'm the best striker. I want to.
Oh, that one, the one he's like the Bakugo. He's always like yelling and like he's like, I'm the best. Pass it to me. Yeah.
Loud guy, shark teeth, dark eyeliner.
Yeah.
I hope what's gonna happen is this guy, because he started developing already in these first episodes. Like when one of the guys on his team scored a goal, he was like cheering, and then he was like, wait, I'm cheering for someone else scoring a goal. I'm like, oh, okay, this guy could become like more team oriented, and so when the time comes to betray his team, maybe he'll actually hesitate, that will actually cause him the game, because like he becomes attached, he like goes in a different direction, and it costs him that way. So hopefully they go that direction. That's like my high level prediction or whatever. But yeah.
That's cool. I just like the overall setup of this. When you talk about like, how it's both set up as the normal way of just like, yeah, they got to win. They're going to be in tournaments. They're going to face other teams. They're going to do it. But there's also a bunch of individual challenges, right? That are like kind of like interesting. And I hope we get more of those besides just like normal games and stuff. But even like the way it's structured with like, a round robin fatal 5 where teams are eliminated, but 2 people, if you're a top scorer on a losing team, you'll still make it through. So what do you value of that? So that's some like high level back and forth. That one reminds me of like 1 Ounce, I think, in that sense. Remember the baseball one that we watched about like there's a lot of like there's a lot of thought to go into like, okay, it's not just about winning. It's like I have to think about my place and how I play this game that I find myself in. And I think so far it's done both of those elements pretty well. Like both like this the straightforward back and forth between 2 teams having a game and like the more mind games. And it's going to be interesting to see how this stays balanced like that.
Yeah, 1 Ounce is a really great call. I totally forgot about that show, but yeah, it's the same vibes as that. It's like it's a sport, but then there's stuff going on outside of it that makes it a little bit more interesting. One question I have is, do you think any of the like the soccer history stuff is true, where it's like, oh, it starts with all strikers, and also these are quotes from all these famous players? I actually looked up that quote from Pele, like, no matter what the answer is, it's me, or something like that. I couldn't find it. I could not find it. So I don't know. Maybe it's some obscure interview, but.
And that touches like, I don't know how much that is real, but like even the fact that like they keep bringing up like Ronaldo, Messi, and Pele. It was like they keep using them as like they're active players right now playing the game. Like like they're like technically, if they ever reach that point, they could interact with these guys, which is just kind of weird to think about.
In the real
world.
Like, whoa.
Yeah, it's in the real world. And like so how do you feel about that in terms of making it real world lore, I guess? Does that work for you? Does that make it interesting?
I think so. I do find it interesting, and I like it because it's it gives more of like a reference, right, as to what they're trying to aspire to be, where it's like, oh yeah, Lionel Messi, yeah, I know that guy, even though I don't really watch sports. Even I've heard of that guy, and I'm like, oh, you want to be like the guy that everyone's heard of on soccer? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but but that makes it so interesting, the fact that like you have to also think, because they're also touching upon that egoist, like his name is kind of full of shit in a lot of ways, because he's saying like, oh, you have to be an egoist, you have to be that individual player, and he references all these great players, but then they bring up the point like none of those guys have ever won the World Cup, which is technically what we're here to do. So it's like, does that what like what do we do here? Like what are we trying to learn really? So I think that's really cool.
That's a good point, and it's like, like to your point earlier, like it's possible that ego is just all like a trick, like okay, yeah, having the biggest. Wait, is his name literally Ego?
It's like egoist, right? Like that's his name is. Yeah. His name is Ego. His name is Ego.
That's funny. His name is literally Ego. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't notice that earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, like maybe this is his like conceit of like, oh yeah, you've got to be like, you gotta look out for yourself, but like in looking out for yourself, you make the team better. And I guess that's kind of what we've already learned in these first 5 episodes is like, turning 0 to 1, right? You turn that 0 into a 1, and then the whole team revolves around you, and that's how soccer evolved, is like basically revolving around a single person. And so yeah, it's an interesting balance. I
really hope that it doesn't get to the point where it's like I like this cutthroat nature, and I kind of hope we get to the point where these 11 have to like cannibalize each other. But like I could also see it like in a normal story, this would be like, oh, once they get to the very end and like they're like the last 11, they'd be like, okay, you guys are like the new team, right? Like you guys all make it. So I hope that's not. I hope I'm proven wrong there.
Yeah, I agree, and I have a feeling that they're not going to go that route, because there's some people on this team already that I think aren't going to like last that long. Yeah. Like the guy that's like constantly last place, like they could cut this guy from the story.
I hope they do. Yeah, screw that guy.
Yeah, screw that guy, and screw the other guy who like keeps stealing food. Honestly, I think the characters that will most likely make it to the end, well, it's Isagi. It's Isagi and Bachira, really, and then possibly the guy with the pink hair.
Yeah, he seems like they're setting up something really interesting with him.
Yeah, like he's got a long-term story thing planned out with his whole like, oh, I have an ACL tear, but I don't want to go too hard or I'll lose my career or whatever. Whereas everyone else, you kind of take them or leave them. It's just like they're flavor. They add flavor to the show, but they don't really have like any like deep lore backstory right now. Yeah,
agreed.
Which might change.
What'd you learn about soccer while we watched this? You know how to play soccer now?
There was a term he used, nutmeg. Was that a nutmeg? It was like some term where he dribbled the ball in between someone's legs.
Oh yeah. So
he was like,
a nutmeg or something.
2 nutmegs in a row. It's like, that's what that's called, a nutmeg.
Nutmeg. When I watch the World Cup, you're like, oh, that guy just nutmegged.
Yeah, nutmegged.
Nutmegged.
What about you?
It's hard, like, because I think the problem, the one inherent flaw with sports anime is like it requires, there's usually a lot of internal narration, which means like everything has to stop and stand there, and like you have to think about like the moves, and like it's like a 30 to a minute like long monologue. But like soccer, even like a lot of the sports aren't very stationary, but soccer in particular, like you're always sort of moving, right? Like it's like always back and forth. So it's like the fact that they just kind of stand there and be like, what do we do? It's just like, I don't think it's like really a thing. But I was hoping to learn more of the rules of soccer too, because like I don't understand them now, with like your defenders in the back, your forwards, and like the moves that you make, and like where you can stand, and like corner kicks I know are like an important thing, and they had one here, but like I don't know the rules of like where you can be stationed on the field. So maybe we'll learn more, but at this stage probably not. Like
yeah, I think due to the like unconventional take of this sports anime, I think it's less about the details of the sport and more about those mind games.
Yeah.
So I guess that is kind of because you and I we enjoy learning about the sport and the intricacies of it and stuff like that. But this one's just more like soccer, right? You kick the ball.
You go that way.
Yeah, the striker. You get the striker. He's the guy that in the forward. Yeah, like you can kind of infer like, that's the point guy. And they're all point guys, so we don't have to learn really anything else.
Yeah, especially for the fact too that it's like soccer is inherently not a high scoring sport. Like it's like really like it's like a lot of games go 1-0, right? Like so how do you make that interesting? But so far they've done a good job.
Yeah, I mean they have had their hype moments. Like the moments that led up to Isagi scoring his winning goal, I thought was pretty cool. It had a very much of a Haikyuu vibe of like, oh, I'm gonna pass the ball, and it's like, oh, I missed it. I wasn't passing to you though. I was passing to that guy, and then Isagi scores. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was my one critique. I would say it's just there's like the minor story element that's just like I guess a nitpick when they're just like they led up to this moment just like no, he's not the star of the team. It's actually that other guy that like the guy with the thing and like he's the one. He's the secret heart. He's calling the shots. I'm like that was clear from the beginning, guys. Like that was like it was clearly him. But that's just a minor thing. Oh, and another thing that I thought was interesting is that at first. I think in the second episode in particular, they almost overwhelmed us with new characters in terms of because we have the 11 on the team, and we also have Ego and like the team manager, the woman who's fighting for. But then there was also the introduction of like that professional soccer player, the one who was just like
the midfielder or whatever.
Yeah, but like I don't know what his role even could be in this. Like, what role could he play here?
So. That to me is a sign that this show is going to go for a while, like because there's the Bluelock arc, right? Like because the anime must go up until when they graduate from Bluelock, and then I imagine they show the rest, like they show professional games, right? Like
you think?
And then that's the point of the midfielder guy is because he was like, oh no, I'm going to stay here because originally he's like, there's no one here who can take my passes, and then he goes through and passes by the Bluelock conference. He's like, I'm gonna stay here. And I feel like his role is like when whoever the striker is that graduates from Bluelock, that will be, the guy that will meet him, and then that kind of maybe it gets introduced into like the larger Japan team or something. I don't know.
That'd be great, but that's so much. I mean, like look at like
so much
that is a lot of stuff. But it's the fact, like like look at these type of animes. Like they don't really progress past like Bluelock. This could go for 5 seasons, and they're still in Bluelock, like for everything. I mean, like, so I guess I don't know, but that guy has to be involved in some capacity. He has to like come into Bluelock to like I don't know teach. Like maybe there's a guest lecture or something.
How to take a pass from the midfielder. I mean, I don't know. It probably won't last as long as we think it does because it started with 300, and then after the first game. It went down to 275, so that's already 25 people gone. And then after this round robin, an entire team will be gone from each of the 5 blocks.
Oh right? Yeah, so when he was explaining that math stuff, I was like, oh god, I don't know how many. I'm like, can you explain the rules again? Yeah, so I guess after this round robin, I think the top 2 teams advanced, the last team gets disqualified, but the 2 or 3 strikers from the bottom team gets to stay. I think it's 3 strikers from the bottom team gets to stay. So that's 11 people in a team. So that's 8 people are going to get eliminated. There's 5 blocks. So that means at the end of the round robin, 40 people should go home. And then that means that we're left with 235 people. So now we're rapidly advancing to cutting the initial group by a third. And we're not even like, I think halfway done through the season. I don't know how many episodes this is though, but... Yeah, I think it's airing right now, so technically it's like I think only like 9 episodes have aired, so I don't know how many it's going to go. Yeah, I guess that's interesting to see how those numbers decrease and where we're at the time. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, numbers. How do they work?
Numbers.
Yeah, that's all I got. Anything else you want to talk about with Bluelock?
It's the fact that he's at the very bottom. He's one from the bottom. There has to be like a lot of good people here, right? Like they all have. Yeah. And it's interesting. And the thing I don't like is that the fact that they name his ability the ability to smell a goal. Like I'm just like think of something.
Smell, yeah.
Yeah, the smell thing.
I can smell you.
I wonder how many of these, because there can't be that many skills, right? Like if as they go on and they'd be like each new character they introduce is like. Oh, like this guy, this is this person's skill. Like there's only a handful of them you can do. You can jump high, you can run fast, you can kick, you can evade. Yeah. Like it's like I wonder how.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, we've already seen people with the same abilities, and we're only on episode 5. Like Isagi, someone else already has his ability, kind of the bangs guy. We've seen someone with strong kicks. It's the superhero, the guy who wants to be a superhero. And then the guy on the other team with the bangs guy, like they both have strong kicks. So, yeah, you're right. Like, how many people can have strong kicks? Yeah. How many people can can smell the goal or have keen? What was this? What was the technical term? Keen spatial awareness.
Spatial awareness.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see.
And then the last thing I'll say that I liked was the fact that just because these 11 characters are the main characters and they have their own plan doesn't make other teams dumb. Like it's like the other team had a pretty solid plan too, like in how to do it. It was a different plan, but like they were smart too, but to be able to counter everything that happened, and they had a good strategy. So I look forward to like the fact that these people are all supposed to technically be better than this team is interesting, and it shows too. And I hope it continues to do that.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Do you have a monster inside you that snaps? Yeah, competitive.
The monster is telling me that the show is almost over. What about you? What's your monster telling you?
A little hungry, maybe. I guess so.
Get a Snickers.
Get a Snickers.
This is sponsored by Snickers.
Snickers. Surprise, everybody.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. That was our review of Bluelock. So yeah, are you gonna keep watching the show then, Coby?
I think so. I think I want to. I might. Yes. Short answer, yes.
Yeah, same here. This has been an interesting season of anime because there's been like some really, some bangers. Everyone knows Chainsaw Man. Yeah. Everyone knows Mob Psycho's out with a new season.
Yeah.
And now this one, I'm glad we saw this one. This is kind of like it's a diamond in the rough, just like those guys.
It is a diamond in the rough, and hopefully, because I also remember Japan is out of the World Cup. I googled that just to see where they got. I was like, maybe they should have went through Bluelock.
Yeah, this Bluelock it's actually a pitch, like a real life pitch.
Yeah, like, guys, we could have done this.
Yeah, we could have trapped 300 high schoolers in a prison complex and made them fight each other.
It's logic.
That would be an interesting experiment, though. Yeah, do it, Japan. All right. Anyways, if you made it this far, thank you for listening. Like, comment, subscribe if you want, or not. We would like to talk about the anime with you guys in the comment section. But yeah, do whatever you want. This has been our Bluelock review. Peace out.
I was waiting for the see ya.